After writing the exam, I was pretty much sure that I will get a 96 percentile. Based on the selection criteria of different B school, I was pretty much sure I will got a call from K and as well as from maybe from Ahmedabad and Calcutta, but it did not happen. So I was like really shattered. Like people have such a very good profile, and I was thinking like how I will survive for next 2 years here. When the call for a PPO came, so all those jitters were went away, and I was very happy at that point of time, and like I was just want to meet my friends and tell like, yeah, I have got a PPO from a Bain. Now the second year will be very, very different.
There's a new series on InsideIIM where we feature InsideIIM's best 50 most employable MBA graduates and InsideIIM's 50 most promising incoming MBA students. In this episode, we have with us Mayank Jain from IIM Kozhikode's class of 2023. So, Mayank, for our viewers, can you please introduce yourself?
So hello everyone, I am Mayank Jain, born and brought up in a state of Rajasthan and currently living in Mumbai. As a commerce graduate, I have done Bain Co, and I have also pursued two professional courses. The one is CA and another one is CS with All India rank. Post qualification, I have worked with Shapoorji Pallonji Group for around 2 years, and there I realized that I should enroll for a full-time MBA program. So I had written a CAT 2020 and decided to join a PGP, a flagship program of IIM Kozhikode in a batch of 21 to 23. Fast forward 2 years at IMK, I am now eagerly waiting to join Bain and Company, where I have interned during my summers and have got a pre-placement offer.
Wonderful. So, आप बताओ, you did your pursued BCom, right? Then you went to CA, CS. ठीक है, तो CS में there's lots of tax laws, SEBI laws हो गया, फिर आपके यहाँ पे accounts हो गया. Then what led you to the decision of pursuing an MBA?
So the fun fact is like this. This is one of the questions that has been asked in every interview that I have appeared for, or rather like it's for every CA that has been asked for.
Yeah.
So like CA as a course, no doubt provides its students with an in-depth knowledge relating to maybe finance, accounts, and taxation. However, while I was working with the Shapoorji Pallonji Group, I realized that even though I am preparing a balance sheet, but I am not driving those numbers. Like I'm not aware like how these are numbers are coming to balance sheet or what are making these numbers to come to the P&L and balance sheet. So I wanted to understand more often like what are the nitty-gritties of the business, like how the business is running, what are the roles of different departments, say like how marketing and IT departments are functioning, and not only about the finance department. The other reason for joining an MBA program and full-time MBA from IIM, like is the growth trajectory that it offers. Like even with the CA, I can switch to a roles that offers me a business planning, but the opportunities are limited. With the MBA, it opens up a plethora of opportunities for you, and with the escalated growth trajectory. So that was the one reason that I enrolled for MBA.
So Mayank, you decided to go for an MBA. So, and you prepared for CAT. So how much did you score on CAT 2020?
So if I remember correctly, my score was around 96.71 percentile as such.
So based on the selection criteria at IIM Kozhikode for the batch of 2023 and other B schools, I think being a CA gives you additional points, right?
Yes, yes.
So Mayank, January 2021, CAT results are now out. So you're at a very decent percentile. So what were the calls that you had?
So from Lucky, I had a call from K Kozhikode. And for the rest of all of the IIMs, like BB and UIMs, I have a call for all the IIMs. My dream was to study in IIM only, so I was not. I haven't applied for FMS and MTI, and even not to the XLRI.
So now you had calls. Now you had calls from some of India's best B schools, right? Abhi, how did you prepare for the interviews?
After writing the exam, I was pretty much sure that I will get a 96 percentile. Based on the selection criteria of different B school, I was pretty much sure I will got a call from K and as well as from maybe from Ahmedabad and Calcutta, but it did not happen. I started preparing for my interviews very early. So I've divided my interview preparation in 3 buckets. The first one is HR, second one is a technical that is related to my CA and professional work experience that I was doing with the Shapoorji, and the third one is the current affairs. For HR and technical questions, I have prepared a one cut as I was when I was preparing with my CA interviews. I just need to add a few more questions like why I want to do MBA or maybe like MBA after CA, what was my role in Shapoorji Pallonji and so on. So I was working on those questions. For current affairs section, as my VR, as I mentioned, like my VRC section was weakest. I was reading a lot newspapers and books. So I have by that time I have a decent idea about that. However, to focus more about in the preparation, my focus was more to read about editorials. After getting a short list, I started with reading two newspapers specifically, and that too end to end. One is the Hindu for getting into the general awareness and the current affairs, and another one is a Business Standard to get in touch with the upcoming business news and stories.
After IIM Kozhikode interview, were you certain that you're going to get selected? कैसा था?
Pretty much not. As I mentioned, like it was a very stress interview.
Yeah.
So when I was completing the interview, at the end, at the words of its end, I was like, "It was इसमें तो नहीं होगा." However, like I have a call from K's PGP Fin program as well, and for other new IIMs and BBIMs. So I was like, okay, fine. If I can able to make through PGP Fin program of IMK, that will be fine. But yeah, I think so. Like what worked for me is like I remained calm and composed during the case stress interview as well, and that thing I think like that was the one thing that helped me to ace this interview.
What would be your advice to your juniors who are appearing for their MBA admissions this year? So how would you want them to prepare?
So for from an interview perspective, I would say like be transparent and honest in your answers. Don't try to cook stories that has never happened to you,
Okay.
and don't try to outsmart the panelist. Like this is the one thing. The another thing that I would say like try to keep ball in your court. Try to drive the interview in your planned way, but it is like a most desirable or idealistic situation which might not be possible. But be like trying to have a ball in your court that will help you to ace the interview.
So Mayank, now you have converted your best call. You have made it to God's own campus. So tell us, how was life at IIM Kozhikode?
Like if I want to define a life at IIM Kozhikode in one word, it would be like a jannat for me. So yeah, here you have so many things to explore. Great academics, sports, dance, singing, and then there are lots of committees, clubs that you can be part of.
So Mayank, IIM Kozhikode being one of India's best business schools. So what was the level of competitiveness on campus?
So I still remember like when I joined IIM Kozhikode and I was just looking or stalking random LinkedIn profiles of the upcoming batch. So I was like really shattered. Like people have such a very good profile, and I was thinking like how I will survive for next 2 years here. When you are looking at IIM Kozhikode or any of the top B school, like you have like one of the 500 brightest minds of the student that are competing with you.
Sure.
So pretty much here, like a cohort is a very well diversified. Say you have many of IITians, economic grads, CA and CFAs, like who take the case discussions in a classroom to the next level. But like in a year one, IIM Kozhikode also provides opportunity to like in every section there are 3 to 4 PhD students, which have like a tremendous work experience, both in terms of like they have a very sound industry experience, which also makes the discussions or like the classroom experience are very competitive for us.
Mayank, अगर आपको भी चांस मिलता है, ठीक है, to relive your life once again at IIM Kozhikode, is there something that you would do differently?
Sure. So pretty much like one of the things like that our batch has suffered more in the first year about the online MBA. So that was a thing that students were being called in slots, and I was not able to come in a very early slot. I'm like I haven't visited campus in a year one itself. So pretty much if I can revisit life at IIM Kozhikode, I want to be the first one who are coming to campus. Apart from this, I would say like I would try to be get out of my comfort zone as quickly as I can. So initially, like in a very beginning, in a term one, I was like a very introvert person who does not participate in a class. But sooner I realized like I need to push myself and try to participate in every class discussion. So yeah, so I would say like if given a chance, I would try to get out of my comfort zone as quickly as possible.
ये मुझे काफी देर से पूछना था कि as a CA, why did you go for management consulting and not finance, IB, etc.?
One thing that always astonished me was steep learning curve that the consulting domain provides. Like You can work with on a projects with a different industries. You get to know what are the ins and outs of different industries, how the industries are working, how it operates. It always help you actually in longer run if you want to come up with your own venture. The other thing is like there are only very few roles which are front end and client facing that offers you to showcase your skills in a front of CXOs. So the one of the finance roles can be investment banking, and the front end roles are very limited that visits to the Indian campuses. In my CA articleship, my role was a client facing, and like I was recommending a solution, and getting a solution coming into existence gives me altogether a different feeling actually. So like in a consulting firms, especially in MBBs,
Yeah.
from a very junior level, you are exposed to deal with the clients and CXOs. So this is the one reason that I wanted to go into consulting rather than going into other finance job.
So how did you prepare for the consulting interviews?
So as soon as I joined B School, I formed a group with my fellow friends and started preparing for consulting interviews. So I remember when people are starting with their making or preparation with the CV, I had already prepared one or two cuts of CV and started preparing for interviews side by side.
Yes.
So this was actually suggested by one of my friends who was graduated from IIM, and this head start worked in a favor of me. Referred to almost all the case books that were available at that point of time. I started with the CIC case interview crack to get the gist of the cases, like what are different types of cases that are. And then I moved to various different case books of different colleges. I was also maintaining one diary where I was writing a structure for different case frameworks, like how I would approach a profitability case, what can be a preliminary questions that can be asked for this type of framework, and so on. So
Yeah.
this is why I like prepared for my consulting interview.
Mayank, at Inside IIM ना, they keep reading so many articles around कि आप लोगों का interview process, how typical MBB or a typical consulting interview process is so unique. So Mayank, what was the interview process at Bain? For our viewers, just keep in mind that this was back in 2021 when it was a virtual placement season.
So as soon being released their shortlist for the candidates that were being appeared for interviews,
Yeah.
uh, they have organized a one workshop where they have invited various senior partners and other senior members of the Bain team. So they were giving us insight about how the things work in a Bain, what we need to have, and what will be tested, and so on.
Okay.
After that, they have also they have a one day workshop of the cases where uh, they have imparted us with the different case structures and how the things will happen on the interview day. And finally, it was a D day for us having a interview. So the process, like it started with like they have a case interviews as well as some of the estimates that they ask for.
Yeah.
They started early in the morning, and particularly there are two or three rounds. Maybe the some of for some of the students, they were the four rounds that were being taken, and based on yes, they came with the results.
So how was your interview experience? So can you share some questions that were asked to you during your Bain interview?
The interviews for MBBs or Bain were typically limited, not limited, but very much enriched with the case interviews only. There
Okay.
can be a few guesstimates that they can ask. And apart from it, there are some of HR or HR questions. So I remember in the two rounds, I was asked like when I mentioned like I belong to a place from Rajasthan. So the discussion from then onwards, it started not to the case interview perspective, but it went to the like a heritage state, and how good is how tourism is in Rajasthan, and so on. Other than from it, one was the question that the panelist asked me is like, you have done your CA and then CS with All India rank, then why you want to do MBA and specifically go into a consulting? Why don't you want to go into finance? These type of the questions for the HR. Other than like, there's a full-fledged case interviews that is being conducted for around 20 or 30 minutes and so on. Yeah.
But do you think at any point in time, being a CA helped you in the placement process?
Definitely, like as being a CA, I think I always have an edge on specifically two fronts. So first, on a number side, as certain cases involves calculations, I can quickly do the maths and like understand the nomenclature related to revenue, GP margins, and contributions, and so on. Second is, I would say, industry knowledge that I have equipped with the CA curriculum. CA curriculum is a vast and like 3 years of articles provides you with the knowledge with respect to different industries like maybe an insurance company or banking, manufacturing companies, and so on. So as I already know what are the specific costs involved in different industries, say claim cost in insurance or maybe NPA provisions in a bank. So the knowledge I acquired in a C always give me an edge with respect to other students who are preparing with me.
So, Mayank, what would be your advice for your juniors who are preparing for the summer placement process, especially for those who want to get into management consulting?
The first thing in that comes to my mind is sooner if you will start, that will be really helpful for you. So in for a summer placement like that starts on a very first process. Like for the CV making and the preparation starts from the day one. So better you start early for interviews. It will be helpful for you. Try to solve as many different cases as you can to have a just or a very good handover on the handholding on the different cases. In my opinion, I think so, like the interviews are looking more for the structured approach and how you are thinking to solve a business problem, and not only like you have asked a plethora of or the very n number of prelim questions, or how you are just asking for the data set. Uh, Better to be being confident, calm, and composed in the interview setting.
Okay.
For from a preparation point of view, like you may also go on preparing notes like how you want, like how you would approach a different case, and what will be your approach for maybe for a profitability and for the mergers and acquisition case. It might be different, or it might be a merger of two different case book that you are reading. Maybe for a guesstimates, you can prepare one data sheet for the numbers or the facts for the guesstimates as well.
Thank you so much, Mayank. Thanks a lot. So, Mayank, my next question would be, how was your experience as a summer associate at Bain and Company?
So yeah, the experience was really like amazing, I would say. So there were two or three things that I have learned in a very short span of 2 months. So the first thing I would say, like a work with a zero Ds or a zero defect. So we are always told that like from a past also, and from in the childhood also, like from all the elders, we are told like please check once or check one more time your answers or anything that you have worked, but we actually take this very casually. However, like in a consulting, it becomes very crucial as there is a possibility that your supervisor could not review your work and a senior member is directly checking on it. And that
Got
point,
it.
if she or he finds a mistake, it becomes very embarrassing for you as well as your supervisor. So you need to make sure that your work should reflect a zero defect. Secondly, the work that you are doing should flow sequentially and with a logic, such that it becomes very easy to understand for a person who is seeing for a first time. Like it, many a times it can happen like you are not at the desk and you will be not able to explain what you have done, like how the things are flowing in Excel. So the work you are doing should be a very self-explanatory. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, I would say like you need to have a very strong and solid reasoning behind what you are trying, what statement you are making for. Like any statement that you are making cannot be in a air. Like as you are directly talking with a CXOs or a partners at very high level, the statement that you are making should back up with the two or three very solid proofs actually.
After your stint as a summer associate, you got to know that you have been offered the prestigious PPO at Bain. So कैसा लगा था उस time पे after receiving the PPO offer?
I was like really very happy. At that point of time, I was at the airport and I was just traveling to Kozhikode for a college, like for a first time actually. So there were jitters about like how I will like it was my first hostel life, or maybe a first life that I will be going in a very different place from my comfort zone.
Okay.
But apart from like having so many of the jitters, but when the call for a PPO came, so all those jitters were went away, and I was like like very happy at that point of time, and like I was just want to meet my friends and tell like, yeah, I have got a PPO from a Bain. Now the second year will be very, very different.
So, Mayank, what would be your advice to your juniors going for the summer internship at Bain and Company?
My first advice would be like, please don't hesitate to ask for a help. Like if you don't know something, sooner you will ask for a help, better it would be, better the things would be, because things in a consulting moves at a very fast pace actually. And after working, like say you have worked for 2 hours on something and you did not get any meaningful work out of that, that it becomes difficult for your supervisor to do it, to do that work particular from that, as there's always a time crunch there. So please don't hesitate and ask for a help to your supervisor. Second would be, I would say like don't try to take too much on a plate. So I know, like as you have joined as an intern, there will always be a pressure to perform, and in that pressure, like you will try to overburden yourself, and in that overburden, there's a high possibility that you will commit a blunder. So rather than taking too much on a plate, try to take a limited work, but try to do it with such accuracy that the supervisor need not require to spend a whole lot of time on it, and it can be directly passed to the senior person and can be like very useful to the team in preparing a final deck or something.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mayank. Thanks a lot. So this brings us to the end of the conversation with Mayank Jain. So once again, Mayank, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful having you on this episode. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Devan. It was like really great interacting with you, and I'm honored and very, very thank you to you as well as to the Inside IIM for doing a podcast on my journey. I hope this will help juniors as well as the upcoming CAT aspirants. Yeah, thank you.
For sure.